Welcome back, everybody. Alex B. Sheridan is joining us on this podcast in just a few moments. He is doing crazy, groundbreaking things with video on LinkedIn, so much so that he went from 0 to 6 figures in his side hustle doing video and helping people do video in 6 months. 6 figures in 6 months. He quit his job. He's doing it full time, and he's here on the podcast to tell us exactly how he did it and how you can do it too. So here's Alex. All right, Mr. Alex B. Sheridan, the creative video king, royalty in the house.
What is that?
Appreciate you joining us here on Relish the Journey.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you have had a big year, huh? Big couple months. You made the leap from side hustler to just straight up hustler, right? Left your job and doing it.
It's been crazy, man. It's been a wild journey, but it was time. It was time.
Yeah, so for those that have no idea who you are, they're listening to this or watching this, haven't heard your name, before we get too much into what do you do, why don't you tell us in your words, what do you do?
Yep. So I'm the founder of Impacts for a LinkedIn marketing company and specifically focused on video. What I do is I transform founders, execs, entrepreneurs into revenue generating content creators.
Nice. Even got that down in the succinct.
You gotta have the elevator. You gotta have the elevator pitch, man. That's what I always talk about even in your headline. A lot of people just have, hey, I'm a director of so and so, or I'm a vice president of so and so. Like, hit people with what you do for them. Make it stand out, make it pop.
Yeah. So, what got you started in all this? What made you wake up one day and say, that's what you're gonna do?
So I started off last year. I always knew I wanted to own my own company and build something myself. And the creativeness was always inside of me. It was like, how am I going to pull this out and channel it into something that I can make a living off of? And last year I've been working in corporate America, good 6-figure job, good benefits, all that stuff. Right. But I realized that I just wasn't fulfilled and happy inside unless I go for this dream that I had to build something on my own. Right. And really make a greater impact in the world was the ultimate vision. To be able to have a voice, to be able to speak to people, inspire other people. And so last year I branched out, started my company, Impacts. Like when most people start their companies, it wasn't anything. It was a website and a logo.
Right.
And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I knew sales, I knew leadership. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to help companies grow their business. I'm going to help them generate revenue for their business through sales processes, that kind of stuff. And I quickly realized that my passion wasn't in that. And at the same time, I also realized I started to post video content on LinkedIn, very beginning stages. And I played with different ideas and different creative methods to tell a story, to deliver a message in a valuable way, where I was teaching people stuff and giving them insights and perspectives and tips and strategies, but do it in a more creative way. Like bring it to them and deliver it to them in a more creative package, as opposed to just getting on there and saying, hey, here's 3 ways that you can do X, Y, and Z. And so some of that involved storytelling, skits, adding humor, just really, I wanted to do something that no one else was doing. And so I started creating these videos. Again, I still didn't have a business model yet. I still didn't know really what I was doing.
Right.
But I quickly noticed that when I started creating videos that stood out to my target audience, the people that I wanted to reach, and it was specific and relevant to them, that they started coming to me. And I was like, a light bulb went in my head and I was like, wait a second. I don't have to teach people to chase down customers to grow their business. I can teach them how to create content on LinkedIn, specifically through video, that allows their targets to see them, to get noticed, and that brings their target customers to them without them always having to constantly reach out to them. And so when that light bulb went off, I was like, I'm going all in. That's it. Like, this is it. I think video is my thing. I think these are where my strengths are at. I think I'm really passionate about it. I see the future of this. I think video is the present and the future. I still believe that. And I think I knew there was an incredible market or niche for me to carve out, even within LinkedIn video marketing, where it was more of the creative side, just giving people a different look that they haven't seen before. And so when that all kind of went off, I said, you know what? February, this year, February, I went all in. Won my first client. 6 months later, I'm leaving my full-time job to pursue. I had replaced my 6-figure income. I'm leaving my full-time job to pursue this as a full-time venture. So that's how it happened.
That's awesome, man. And so what, in 6 months to six figures, right? That's a nice little.
It's kind of like a story. It's almost like the title of a book, man.
Hey,
but it's actually true. It's not like a gimmick thing. It's actually true. And I have to remind myself, sometimes I think we're all very hard on ourselves and we want to talk about the things that we're not doing or the things we need to do better. And I had a good friend of mine remind me the other day. She's like, you know what? You got to chill out a little bit and remind yourself of what you've just done over the last 6 months, because it's pretty freaking cool. And not a lot of people are able to turn their side hustle into a full-time thing ever, let alone within 6 months. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. I need to appreciate that. I need to be grateful for that. I need to feel humbled that I'm in this position to be able to do what I'm doing now and to be able to now give back to other people and hopefully inspire other people to go for their dream. And if they want to branch out and start their own company eventually and take that side hustle, turn it into a full-time hustle, then empower those people to help them do that.
Yeah. And so that's quite the meteoric rise, 6 months to six figures. It sounds good. And it is good. Was there something that happened in there? Like if you look back now, there was a tipping point where you went from that one client to like you jumped to 10 after you did one thing, or was it just consistent? Okay, good. What was it?
There was. And I have a really good mentor in my life, Nick, who has helped me a ton along the way. So I think surrounding yourself with people that are years ahead of you, that have way more experience ahead of you is extremely valuable. You can take the long way and you can not hire anybody or not work with anybody or not equip yourself around mentors. And I don't just mean mentors as in like people that you know and talk to every day. It could be people that are just like Seth Godin refers to them as heroes instead of mentors. So mentors are people that you engage with, you talk with. Heroes are people that you see and you can consume their content. You can follow their story, learn from them. And that can be a source of inspiration and a source of knowledge for you to pull from to be able to go do what you want to do. But the light bulb really clicked for me when I was making a lot of content and it was creative and it was bringing value to my target audience, but I wasn't connecting it back to saying, okay, how can I be more strategic? Or when I put out a piece of content, there is some type of message, but it funnels back to my business and where I'm trying to take my customer and getting them to take action and getting them to move forward versus just putting out a piece of content to say, well, I hope it does well. I hope my video gets a lot of views. I hope people like it. Like that was more when I first started off. And I think that's the issue with a lot of people on LinkedIn right now. They're posting videos, text posts, and it's like, I hope it does well. I hope it performs well. I hope it get a lot of views. I hope it gets some likes and some comments and maybe it goes viral, who knows? And the difference between that and someone that's actually generating revenue on LinkedIn through their content, somebody that's actually content marketing successfully, is they have a plan to turn that content into actual paid customers. And it's not pitching. It's not getting on there and saying, oh, this is what I do. And I run this 5-week video boot camp and you need to join. And because that stuff doesn't work, just like it doesn't work in the video DM or the DMs. But what does work is bringing an extraordinary amount of value to people, caring, giving a lot to your audience, like truly giving a shit about your people. But following that up with ways for them to get access to more. And that's the part that a lot of people miss. It's like, here's my value and we're done, versus having the call to actions, versus having the branding outros that remind people of what you do over and over again. There's just a level of intentionality that you need to have when you're posting content on LinkedIn or wherever you're at. And that's what takes you to the next level.
So how did you figure out what that next step would be? You kind of took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask if this was at the end of your videos, you say, hey, DM me for more, or DM me to get started, right? So that's your call to action. But how did you decide, okay, someone DMs you, now what do you say, right? Like, how did you build out what the follow on to the content is?
Yeah. And it's not just like, yes, the call to actions, the, hey, DM me for more information or DM me to join my group or whatever it is. Those are super important. And also to ask engaging questions to, at the end of a post, say, hey, what are your thoughts on X, Y, and Z? Like contribute to the conversation, drop a comment below. Those things are all good to get conversations going and to guide people in the right direction and get them to take action. But it's also the message itself. Like if I go back and I did this exercise with somebody today, I was like, let's go back and look at your last 5 to 10 posts. Can I clearly tell what you do or how you help your customers? And if the answer is no, it's not a horrible thing. It could be good content. It just means you're not quite focused enough. The clarity of your content is not quite there. So if I don't know and we can't tell from going through your last 5 to 10 posts together what you do, guess who else can't tell? Yeah. Your customers, like they don't know. So they may consume and say, yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. But if you're not giving them a reason to want to say, oh, but I understand that Miles or Alex does this, good piece of content. And I think Miles can help me with this because I understand that this is what he does. And so the message has got to be on point where it's a good message. It's bringing insights or perspectives or tips or strategies or tactics or entertainment, whatever it is, to the people you want to reach. But there's also a plan with that message to say, hey, I want people to think like this. And then I want them to kind of, if they want to learn more, or if they want to take the next step, then I'm going to get them to, and the funnel could be all sorts of things. It could be a free LinkedIn group, a Facebook group. It could be DM me now to learn more, free checklists or ebook, whatever you're going to give out. It's got to be free of value. It's got to be something that you're going to give first, and then you can receive on the back end.
Sure. And I think that's a great point about the last 5 to 10 videos, right? To figure out what the heck are you offering? What do you say to people that have no idea what they want to offer, but they're just showing up and putting content out, trying to figure it out through the act of, creating that stuff? How do you get that aha moment, manufacture that aha moment that you had?
Well, everyone's got some type of goal for creating content, right? You're either on LinkedIn or any social media platform to find a job, to find somebody to fill your job, to generate business for your company, to start or grow your side hustle. Everyone's got some type of motive. No one's on there just to I'm just seeing how it goes and I want to network. Right. Probably not. There's something that you want to move towards. And if there's not, you're probably not going to move towards anything because it's like trying to get somewhere without a clear destination or a roadmap. Like you're just going to be wandering. So the first thing you have to do is just get clear on what do you want to accomplish? What would good look like? And maybe it is you want to get exposed to a certain amount of people. Maybe it is, hey, I want to get the best people on my podcast so that I can grow my, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be generating revenue. It could be other things, but you really have to get clear on what you want to accomplish first. And I think that's true for anything, like life, business, relationships. If you don't get clear on what you want, the outcome and the vision and that kind of stuff, you're just going to be kind of treading water. You're just going to be putting out stuff and it's probably not going to do a ton for you. And you'll be building a brand, but it may not be the brand that you actually want. Sure. It may not be the brand that 3 months from now, you're like, okay, now I'm actually intentional and clear. The last 3 months was not what I was trying to guide people towards. Now I want to do something totally different. So I think at least having the understanding of, hey, why am I here? What kind of impact am I trying to make? And what do I want to accomplish from this is a really good place for people to start.
Sure. Was there ever a moment in these 6 months on your rise to leaving your corporate job where you felt like it wasn't going to work out, or you second guessed everything that was going on?
Absolutely. almost daily, it's a tough journey. Obviously there's bad days, there's good days, there's every day in between. And I think your natural, if you think about your brain is a survival brain, right? I think we all know that, right? It's not our brain isn't here to make us happy, or it isn't here to start our side hustle or have this entrepreneurial thing that we want to do. Our brain is here to keep us alive, meaning it needs to survive. So it's going to say, hey, watch out for this. Don't do this, dude. Hey, that's dangerous. Stay away from that. Don't take a risk. You don't need to take a risk. Why are you taking a risk? You're at a good company. You're making 6 figures. You got benefits. Don't do something else. Don't jeopardize that. So all these voices inside are perceived as, your brain's thinking it's a positive thing because it's trying to keep you alive and in survival mode. But in reality, in 2020, it's actually preventing you from being alive. It's preventing you from living the life that you want to live.
Sure.
So you have to acknowledge that. And you have to say, hey, when I'm feeling self-doubt or I'm thinking about, hey, what if this doesn't work? Or what if I fail? Or what if it doesn't, pan out the way I thought it would? That's a natural feeling to have. It's really just your brain trying to keep you safe. So yeah, I had that all the time. I thought, especially as you come up, and I don't think you lose that ever. I think you get to a next stage and then it's like, okay, now can I do it at this level? Right. Maybe I was operating well at this level, but now I'm taking my success to the next level. Can I really do this? Am I meant for this? And so, yeah, you constantly have the self-doubt. The one thing that I will say is that I always believed in myself to be able to get it done. Even though I sometimes didn't I didn't always have the answers, right? Or I didn't always know how I was going to get it done, or how am I going to figure this out? Or what's it going to look like a month from now, 2 months, 3 months from now? Didn't always know those answers. And I doubted that sometimes, but I always had the self-belief enough to say, hey, I got this. I'm going to figure it the hell out. I don't care what I got to do. I don't care what the hours I got to work, right, the sacrifices I got to make, whatever I got to learn. I will figure this thing out. And I think you have to have that mentality because it's just too easy to quit if you don't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's talk about the hours. So many people glamorize this idea of starting a business, right? So before you left your day job and you were working a job and then your second job, which was your company, what did it look like? Up at 4 to bed at midnight, like that extreme, or how did you manage your schedule and fit it all in?
Yeah, it was up at 6 a.m., 6:30. And depending on if I'm with my kids or I'm not, like the daycare situation, that kind of stuff, but I'd have to obviously take care of them.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty much working until 7. And then like for my full-time job, 7 to 4 or 5. And then it was quickly that would pivot right into my side hustle that would go until 11, 12 at night. So I always, I try to take care of myself, my body, my health, because I think that's really important. So no, I wasn't getting like 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night because I don't think that would have done me any good. I tried to at least get 6 hours of sleep, 7 if I could, but it was working and still is. It's hard for me now to say, okay, well, you don't have the full-time job anymore. So do you really need to work as long of hours when you're dedicated to one thing now and not two? It's still hard for me to turn that switch off. But yeah, it was every single night, late nights, every single weekend, there's not a weekend that I can't remember that I didn't work at least for several hours on a weekend. There's not a night that I can remember where I shut things off at 5 or 6 o'clock and was like, all right, I'm done for the day.
Right.
And so I don't say that to be like, oh, look at me, I'm hustling, I'm a badass. I just say it because that was just the reality of the situation. I could have probably worked less hours and done it in 12 months instead of 6, or a year and a half instead of 6. I just was willing to put in the work and I wanted it really, really bad. And that's what a lot of this comes down to, is how bad do people want it? And so I was like, I'm going to cut the time down to as least as I can. I enjoy what I'm doing enough to not kill myself doing it. And that was my strategy. But yeah, it was a lot of sacrifices, a lot of work.
I bet. And so now that you are doing it full time, how do you think you're going to keep the motivation alive? You don't have the safety net of the corporate job, right? It's just you, and maybe the benefits are gone, right? All these things, that safety net's gone. And quitting isn't really an option, right? Like you said, you thought about quitting and you could have been okay if you didn't. Now you need to put food on the table, right? For those kids you talked about. So is that what motivates you, or do you have another way to keep yourself high energy and showing up for your clients and for the content you create every day?
Obviously there's more motivation, and you can only imagine there's more motivation the less safety net you have, right? So the more that you don't feel safe, or that you feel like, hey, if I don't make it here, I'm not going to put food on the table. Whereas I'm at my full-time job. If my side hustle ever didn't work out, there was still the full-time job there, right? So I was still kind of covered. But when it's not there, you feel more motivated to put in the work. But to be honest with you, money, the basic providing for my family, all that stuff is great. Yes, I definitely want to always do that. I want my kids to be taken care of. I want to live a good life. I want to have money to buy the things that I want to buy. But it's not the number one motivation for me. The number one motivation for me is making a positive impact on this world. The biggest fear that I would have is that I died, at 100 years old or whatever I live to be. And I look back and I say, man, I just really didn't make a difference while I was here. Like I didn't impact enough people the way I thought I would have, or I didn't accomplish what I thought I would accomplish. I didn't really take my potential and run with it. That's really what I'm after. I guess you could call it the whole legacy thing or however you want to frame it up. But it's really about making a difference while I'm here. And I don't know exactly how I would define if I did it or not. I don't think it's necessarily a check yes or no. I think I just know in my heart, am I putting in the right kind of work and doing the right things to end up in a position where I can really positively impact a lot of people.
Yeah. Somebody asked me once what I want to have different about the world because I was alive. That was the question. And that's just what you said made me think of that, right? And I think it's one of those things where you never really achieve that moment. Like you said, you don't check the box yes, but it's all about pursuing that idea. Mm-hmm. And that's where the motivation is. It's never actually anything you can actually wrap your hands around, but you can always work towards it.
Yep.
So how would you describe these last 6 months, taking the leap? How would you wrap up that journey you've been on so far in 3 words?
It's weird, man. When you said that, I almost got emotional. It's weird because I was just sometimes I don't stop and really live in that. I'm just in go mode all the time.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a good thing, but how would I describe? Intense for sure. Part of me says happiness. Part of me says it was a lot of moments were filled with joy and accomplishment, and I was proud.
Yeah.
And so there's that feeling too, but definitely crazy. Definitely craziness has got to be in the equation because it was just absolutely nuts. and that's where the self-doubt comes in. And when you're working a full-time job, it's tough because I was on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Like, that's my thing. So other people in my full-time job see me on LinkedIn and they wonder, what are you doing with this? And why are you doing this? And so it's just very conflicting, man. It's very, very hard, very hard. And it's not that it's going to be easier now that I made the jump, but at least I'm in one lane and I can focus on it. But yeah, in the last 3 to 6 months, man, have been a wild ride.
So is that what you want your 3 years to be, a wild ride? Or I had intense happiness and craziness were the other 3 you threw out there?
Intense happiness and craziness.
Nice. And it's a wild ride. I bet, man. But what's cool is that, say you were working, I don't know, 5 hours a day, I'm picking a number, on the side hustle. Now you can work the whole 16 hours you were doing. So theoretically then in the next 6 months, you could be tripling your business, right? And you have to have seen that, and that's why you made the leap.
Yep, exactly. That's part of the whole, when you take the leap, is like, I got to be in a good enough position. I think when you take the leap, especially when you have a family and responsibilities, you got to be in a good enough position financially with money coming in, obviously to replace your income, but a safety net beyond that, hopefully some money saved up and enough income where you feel like you can make the move responsibly. But then beyond that, you have to trust that what you're building is going to grow even faster because now you've got more time and energy and even just mental space. As weird as it is, because towards the end, like, yeah, you're kind of checked out from your full-time job. The last few weeks, like, no doubt about it. There's no getting around it. You're getting ready to make the move. Like, Of course, you're focused on your side business that's going to become your full business. But the mental space that another job or, something else that's taking up a lot of time and energy takes from your mind is really interesting on how that plays out when it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Just the little thoughts throughout the day. I get an email from my full-time job or I have to take a call. It's a distraction. I still have this other world that's there, where when you remove that other world completely, you're just in your one world and you feel like your focus and your clarity really becomes clear.
Yeah, in many ways, I'm sure that mental stuff, right, that's more exhausting than going to bed at midnight and waking up at 6 to do it again, right? Because you love the work part, but having to keep all that straight, the multiple worlds, that's rough.
It's tough.
So where should we send people to find more of you and what you're doing after they listen to this podcast?
LinkedIn, Alex B. Sheridan. I'm sure you'll post the link to my, check me out, hit me up on a DM, message me if you got any questions at all. If you're someone that wants to, I'd be happy to help people that just, if you're curious or you're in a position where you want to start a side hustle, or maybe you have one now and you think you may want to make them jump at some point, like, hit me up. I'd love to talk. I am pumped to talk about people that were in my spot 6 months ago because I know what it's like. And I know the challenges and the uncertainty, but I also know the awesomeness that comes with it and the excitement and the opportunity to take control of your life and create your own destiny. And so much good stuff comes with it. But two, also, if you're looking to create content on LinkedIn that you want to generate revenue for your business or your own business or somebody else's business, and you want to build your brand, please hit me up. I'd be happy to answer any questions or help anybody out with that stuff too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for peeling away about half an hour from your busy content schedule here and joining us on the podcast.
Better.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Relish the Journey. Thanks to Alex B. Sheridan for being our guest. Definitely check out his LinkedIn page. His videos are awesome. And if you're trying to figure out what can spark your own creativity, I think Alex's stuff can do just that. So check out his stuff. Check out the podcast. All these episodes we've been doing, full of awesome people. Go back and listen to other ones after this. Subscribe to the show, rate the show. All that awesome stuff you can do for me. I very much appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, I'm Miles Biggs. Cheers.